there, it's Katie, and this video is yoga for strong arm. So in this video, we'll be going over the alignment of the hand into the wrist, into the forearm, and how our whole arm connects into our shoulder. And we'll also be going over a little bit of core work, because most of the time balancing on our arms or putting most of our weight in our arms requires a little bit of core work and some spinal alignment. So we'll get started in the tabletop position. We'll take a moment here and get really conscious of how our hands are connecting into the rest of our arms. So come into all fours and have your hands so they're right underneath your shoulders. And really spread out all 10 fingers. And really press down into the base of each knuckle here. So sometimes, depending on how tight your wrists are, or maybe your forearms are tight, I know mine get tight especially, I like to turn my hands so rather than they're being like this, they're a little turned out so the pointer finger is facing straight up into the mat. So if you want, you can turn your hands out a little bit and then really press down into the base of all those fingers. And just get comfortable noticing that. Maybe rock back and forth and see if you can play with your weight there a little bit. So this is a prep position for going into downward facing dog, and while we're doing that, we're pressing into our hands, pushing the floor away. And it's kind of like this energetic motion of our forearms pressing towards one another and moving into our shoulders. Let the shoulder blades come together behind you and let your neck get long while you pull the center of the chest forward. So your shoulder blades are moving together behind you and then down your back. And then keeping a long neck here to kind of get really strong in the shoulder girdle. So once you're comfortable with that, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and come into your first downward facing dog. Maybe starting with bent knees here, because we're focusing on the arms. So in down dog, with bent knees, really tilt the sit bones up and back while you're pressing your chest back towards your thighs. And then notice your arms here. So push down into the base of each finger, push the floor away with your arms, and let your shoulder blades guide down your back. So you're feeling broad across the chest as your chest presses towards your thighs. And really strong in your arms. So push the floor away with your hands. Maybe hug your forearms together just a little bit. Take a deep breath in here. And as you inhale, we're going to slide into a high plank. So you might have to adjust your feet here. I slid mine back a little bit more. And come so that your shoulders are right over your wrists here. Take a deep breath in. Notice that. Pull the low belly in. Let the shoulder blades come together and shoot the center of your chest forward. One more deep breath in here. Exhale, come back to down dog. Again, same thing. Inhale, shift forward to plank. Option is stay high here, or if you want to, you can drop to your knees. And then just remind the center of your chest to shift forward. Your shoulder blades move down your spine so the energy is reaching up and away from the hips. So take a deep breath in here. Option to stay in that high plank, either on your knees or on your toes. And then option to lower down to chaturanga. Just a bent arm coming into a 90 degrees. So you inhale, come back up. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back. Deep breath in. Exhale, come back to high plank. Option to stay high or come to the knees and lower down, bent arms. Inhale, back up. Exhaling, down dog. And same thing again. This time we'll inhale the right leg. Shoot the center of the chest forward, stack the shoulders. Option to hover or bend into the elbows, lowering down chaturanga. Modifying by bending into that one knee if you'd like. Inhale, come back up. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. And last side, inhale, left leg up. Shifting forward. Option to stay high or come down to the knee, lower down chaturanga. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a moment, drop to the knees. Let your chest melt down towards the ground. Plant the hands. Take a deep breath in child's pose. Exhale out the mouth. And walk your hands back. Come back up to a kneeling position. And then we're going to pause for a moment there in our flow to do a modification of a flip dog. So come to the center of your mat on your sit bones. Bend into one knee and keep the other leg straight. I have my foot kind of by my calf here. And turning away from this bent knee, reach your hand behind you, plant the hand. And pushing into this foot, we're going to roll to the outer edge of that other foot. And inhale, lift the hips. Press strong into this right leg and stack the shoulder over the wrist here. This is a modification for a flip dog. So pushing the floor away, get long in this side body, really strong in this leg, trying to stack the knee over the foot. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower back down. And switching sides, bending into the opposite knee. Get really grounded in that foot. Turning away from that bent knee, plant the hand. As you inhale, lift the hips, press into the ground with that right foot, and try to stack the shoulder here. So deep breath in, push the floor away a little bit more with that knee, lifting the hips, keeping the shoulders stacked. Breathing here. One more deep breath in, reaching through that top arm. Exhale, lowering back down. So coming onto our knees again. We're just doing some prep alignment and options for variations of these poses. We'll be doing a flow in a little bit. And if some of it feels like a little much, these are options to go to rather than just moving through the flow and hurting your body. So we're going to be coming into a side plank. So we'll start in a plank pose. Bring your right hand so that it's right underneath your face, and come over to the side. So option is scissor your legs like this. If that's a little much for you, you can drop that bottom knee and bring this other leg straight back behind you with the foot on the ground. So try to make it so that this shoulder is in line with the wrist. The chest is rolling open towards the ceiling or the sky. The lower belly's pulling in, the tailbone's reaching down, and you're really strong in that back leg. If you'd like, you can float this top arm. Maybe if you like a little bit more, you can lift this back leg. And if you'd like something a little bit more challenging, moving from this plank, right hand right underneath the face, maybe stepping here if that feels better for you. Or if you want a little bit more support to work on this arm a little bit more, you can step that opposite foot about halfway up your mat. So right in front of your hips here. And then same thing, we'll roll the chest open the arms to a T if you want, and really press into this foot so you can lift the hip. Lifting it up and then trying to roll it back just a little bit. So get strong in that extended back leg, lifting the hips, staying strong and lift it out of the shoulder. Take another deep breath in here. And then exhale, lowering back down to your knees. And then we'll do the other side. I'm going to turn around so I can still see you. Again, starting on your hands and knees. Option to go from plank, left hand right in front of the face, turning over towards the opposite side. Option to scissor here, or option to lower the knee with the back leg planted. Or maybe the back leg lifted. Check in with your shoulders. See if your shoulder's right over your wrist. See if you can reach your tailbone down towards your heel a little bit more. Lower belly's pulling in. You're long in your spine. Deep breath here. Option to scissor your legs if that feels better. Or maybe step this foot right up in front of your hips. Really pushing that floor away with the front foot. Letting the hip roll back, lifting up and away from the floor. Check that the shoulders stacked over the ribs. Deep breath in. And then exhale, lowering back down. Bring back to your knees, taking a breath here. And then we're going to move through just a quick flow to get you warmed up in the arms and in the core. So if any of this feels like something you want to skip out on, those are two modifications to go to instead of the flow. If both of those don't feel good to you, then you know your body and you can trust that. So starting in a downward facing dog, Plant your hands, plant the base of your fingers, push the floor away. Bend into your knees if you're still feeling a little bit tight in the back of the legs. Push your chest towards your thighs. Reach your shoulder blades down, or rather towards your hips, away from your neck. And as you inhale, lift the right leg. Shifting forward to a high plank, we're going to hug our knee in towards our nose. Shoulders stacked over the wrist. Inhale, back up. Exhale, knee to the right elbow. Inhale, back up. Exhale, knee to the left elbow. Inhale, back up. And then one more time, same thing. Knee hugs into the chest, over to the opposite elbow, and an option to extend this leg. So we're coming to the inner edge of the back foot and the outer edge of this front foot. Make sure that the shoulders stacked right over this wrist, and take a deep breath in here in modified side plank. So again, same thing, lifting the hips up, stacking the shoulders, deep breaths in here, get really strong in the legs. Reach out of your shoulders, one more inhale. Exhale, plant both hands. Inhale this right leg back up. Take a breath here if you'd like. And then bend at the knee, bring the heel into the hips. Start to drop this foot over towards the opposite side, coming into that flip dog a different way. So we're planting into this foot, really charging up that long foot, stacking our shoulders over our wrist again. Long, slow, deep breath in. Exhale, plant both hands. Come back to down dog. Option to rest here or rest in child's pose. One more deep breath in wherever you are. Exhale out the mouth. And if you're in child's, rolling back up, downward facing dog. Plant the base of the fingers. Press the chest back, micro bending into the knees if you'd like. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, shifting forward, knee to nose, rounding the back. Inhale, back up. Exhale, knee to nose, then over to the opposite elbow, stacking the shoulders, stay long in the neck. Inhaling up. Exhaling, knee to chest, knee comes to opposite elbow. Inhaling up, and then again, over towards the opposite elbow. Extend that leg. Left hand's right under your face, coming to the inner edge of this foot, the outer edge of the extended foot. Inhale, lift the hips up. Stack the shoulder over the wrist. One more deep breath in. Exhale, both hands back down. Passing through downward facing dog. Or maybe just coming straight back to this three-legged dog. Take a deep breath in here. Bend the heel into the hip. Let the foot start to drop over towards the opposite side, guiding your shoulder over your wrist here. As you inhale, lift the hips. Press into that bent knee, the foot of the bent knee. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, swing back over. Take a pause in downward facing dog. Option to drop to your knees. Let your forehead rest on the ground, and then let your arms either lay by your side, or sometimes something that's nice, if you have space, is to let the arms rest in between your legs. Deep breath in. Open your mouth, exhale, release. One more deep breath in. As you exhale, slowly press your hands into the ground. Walk yourself back up. Take it slowly here as you come back in. Something that might be nice for your wrists, placing the back of your hands on the mat, starting here, and then maybe leaning back, and just getting a stretch, a bend in the opposite direction. And then playing with a different angle, fingertips in, still leaning back. And as you're ready, coming back into a seat,